Now, 15 minutes isn't very long. So what I'm going to try and do is just like describe a bit of this key practice that I've been doing called circling, and talk a little bit about how circling, I see it as like a really awesome integral practice, like a way of really embodying and developing our kind of integral capacities. And then hopefully we have a bit of time at the end, and I'd love just to leave some space to see what's present for us, either from what I've said or from the previous practices. So just give a bit more, I suppose, voice to all of us. So I'll try and keep it short. So circling is starting to take off quite a lot globally. So circling is a key practice that's done out of the Integral Center in Boulder. And then there's people doing it in Europe. There's quite a few people in California. And I'm kind of trying to hold the flag in Australia to bring circling to Australia. So circling is essentially a we practice, a lower left practice. It's an interpersonal meditation. And really it's about coming into kind of radical presence with each other, and then being willing to step into vulnerability and reveal our experience in the moment, and trusting that whatever it is that's present for us to bring is going to actually be some kind of piece of the picture. For me, circling has been really an amazing way of growing myself and bringing more of myself into the world, and more generally authentic relating, I suppose. But it's essentially given me a lot of practice and tools to bring a lot more of my feeling self into the world. So it's kind of, I felt like it's giving me a healthy expression of green in terms of like being in touch with feelings and having lots of conversation about feeling. And then it's also given me a lot of appreciation for this key insight of integral. All perspectives are true but partial. So what is it to kind of really take that insight into our conversations that are happening day to day with people, and see that where we don't agree with what people are saying, but kind of seek to find where there's truth that resonates for us in that perspective. And so circling quite often actually brings quite a lot of conflict, where there's energy there, and it starts to surface these polarities that aren't even really clear what they are in the group. And if we stay present with that and we're willing to kind of stay in together, then what happens is, we start to find this greater place of integration, this greater wholeness. And so circling then, to me, really starts to embody this kind of key insight and this move towards seeking greater wholeness that, to me, is representative of what integral is all about. Circling also starts to touch into these different kind of forms of leadership. So one of the key terms particularly used by Circling Europe is surrendered leadership. So what is it for us to surrender to, this sense of something larger than us, beyond us, and some kind of transcendent movement, and feel into how it's moving us and how it's moving the entire group. And this is very akin to causal leadership. To me, it's the same kind of thing, but maybe a little bit of a different flavor for those of you who've studied the Pacific integral stuff and Terry Fallon stuff. and then I feel quite inspired by that. Like what is it to start bringing that into the problems that we face as a whole society, as humanity, as the globe. And so circling then becomes also a playground of kind of us starting to, I think, prototype and pioneer these different forms of leading and enacting change in the world. So that's probably like the overview that I wanted to give. And I suppose the final piece is just that, I've been running nights for the last 3 years, kind of fortnightly or weekly in Sydney, and I'm quite keen to like really start growing circling as a practice in Australia, and I'm also happy to kind of offer some online experiences for people who actually want some experiences, because this is all very conceptual, and I'd love to actually give people an opportunity to practice when there's a little bit more time. So really that's what I wanted to say. And at this point, what I would like to do is just to kind of invite us into the presence. So I love that we've already done a couple of meditations. So I think we're already probably there to some degree. And just kind of be aware of everyone on your screen. So if you don't have gallery view, I invite you to put your gallery view on. And just kind of look around at the faces on your screen. And just take in the kind of the feel, the intersubjective field of all of us. And being present to what we've done so far, so this quadrant-based meditation, as well as exploring polarities, meditating around this polarity of submission and control. And then me describing circling and kind of unpacking some of the integral aspects of it. Just feel what's present for you. One of the tenets that I like, I kind of invite people to notice with circling is just speak things when they're loud enough for you. You know, is what's present for you in service of the group or in service of yourself enough that you want to share it? At this point, I just want to invite whatever's present. If anyone wants to say anything, and silence is also good. We can just sit here in silence for a few minutes. I just encourage you to keep your attention on all of us, on your own experience, and us as a collective.
I think I'll say something, Khali, and that is, as I'm looking here and I'm getting a sense of everybody in their own little box, and then I had this vision of the guy that conducted with people in their own little boxes and actually created this amazing soundscape and song. And I kind of thought, you know, if we were present in a physical space, we could all be toning together, singing together, moving together. But it's kind of difficult. And like if I said to everybody, start swaying, what would that be like if everybody just started swaying? And how does that change the space? Do we feel a little bit more interconnected when we've got some body movement happening in our different boxes? And what happens if everybody turned on their microphone and we just heard people sighing, you know, do big sighs together?
I love that you gave that. I'm aware of it, some of us playing and some of us not, and I'm like, I'd love to hear from somebody who's like, I don't want to play.
That's okay. I'll say goodbye now. It was fun to try that.
Okay. Thank you, Khali. Was there anything else?
There's nothing else, so I kind of like to sit for just another minute, if that's all right. I think we quite often feel awkward in silence, and then it kind of gets intense. And part of what I want to actually invite us into is like just to stay with intensity of sensation. For me, something amazing happens when we create a space where pretty much anything goes, including that we mightn't like something that somebody does. But as soon as there's that kind of space of like radical inclusivity and radical welcoming and radical presence, then all of a sudden the types of things that we can express become amazing in my experience. It's like we take the lid off of all of this social conditioning, the kind of autopoetic sea that we tend to swim in. Okay, thank you, everyone.